How long are you prepared to maintain the blockade? Could that go several more months?
Well, the blockade is genius, okay? The blockade has been 100% foolproof. It shows how good our Navy is, I can tell you that. Nobody's going to play games. Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do, just say, we give up. We give up. But their economy is really in trouble. So it's a dead economy.
President Trump's Hormuz chokehold is working, but how long can the Iranians hold out? Welcome to the Big Money Show. I'm Taylor Riggs, along with my co-hosts Jerry Willis, Brian Brenberg, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for the entire hour, Fox News contributor Mayor Francis Suarez. Great to have you here.
Great to be with you guys.
All right.
So the naval blockade on Iranian ports is doing what it was designed to do: strangle Iran's economy and starve the regime of cash. The president calls it foolproof, and well, the numbers back it up. CENTCOM says that more than 40 commercial vessels have been turned away. Iran has been cut off from selling tens of millions of barrels of oil. The regime is out billions in revenue, and storage is nearly full.
We are making people less willing to deal with the regime. We think that the Iranian storage will be full soon. They'll have to start capping in their wells, which will lead to permanent problems. And, you know, again, the regime won't be able to pay their soldiers. And equally important, Larry, is they won't be able to fund their proxies, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, around the world.
So oil prices jumping to more than $100 a barrel, but certainly off the highs that we saw overnight. This is all as the president vows to keep that blockade in place. All right, Mayor, you're in the hot seat. We want to come to you first. What do you make? So let me set the stage. The markets are pretty resilient. We'll talk about earnings later. Oil, we're down to 104. I think overnight the benchmark had gone up to like the 120s, the 130s. What do you make of the blockade, and then also sort of the resilience of the economy that you see?
First of all, I think the blockade is genius. I mean, he has to continue to increase pressure, which he's done very effectively. He negotiates increased pressure, negotiates increased pressure. Obviously, the midterm is sort of like the big concern, if you will, but he's never going to say how long he's going to leave the blockade on, because he's not going to lose his bargaining power, his bargaining position. So I think it's been brilliant. I can envision a moment where it's kind of like the Panama Canal, where the U.S. has control of Hormuz, and we're charging people to pass through Hormuz. And obviously understanding that we spent tens of billions of dollars on this offensive campaign, and we have to get an ROI on that money, as sort of the way he thinks, right? He's a businessman. So I think it's very fascinating, his strategy. I think it's working. Obviously, there's an asymptotic moment here when you get to the midterms, but I think he's doing a good job.
I want to ask you about the midterms as a follow, because Iran's playing the long game. China plays the long game. Russia plays, they're looking at 100-year increments. We're looking at 2-year midterm cycles. Brian often has made the point that screw the midterms. If we were going to lose anyways, let's do this for the long run. Let's make sure that my children grow up with a nuclear-free Iran, but that does maybe come with sacrifices in the short term. Your thoughts?
I totally agree with Brian in the sense that I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I don't want them growing up in a world with a nuclear Iran. I think it took a tremendous amount of courage by the president to take this action. Things that we saw Republican and Democratic presidents in the past not do. Talk about, you know, rhetoric, deals, et cetera, but not actually taking action. And I told him this in the Oval Office. I said, you know, it takes a tremendous amount of courage to do this, particularly when you're doing it and what's at stake. Unfortunately, voters are very sort of short-term minded. You know, it's the famous Carville quote, it's the economy stupid. So people are always focusing on their pocketbook issues. And so this will obviously be a major factor in what happens in November. But I think if he's able to do this quickly, and I'm sure in the back of his mind he has a strategy, and everyone is strategizing on how to do this with enough time for the economy to bounce back, so that people understand that there's a short-term gain and clearly there's a generational gain here.
Jackie, when we talked about not being able to fund the proxies, Scott Bessent had mentioned that. I saw you nodding.
Yeah.
That's something that you've been looking about not taking out Iran, but the proxies that have caused so much disruption in that region.
Yes, those are the tentacles of this regime, and they're not going to cause destruction for you if you don't pay them, like anybody else really doesn't want to come to work and not get paid. But so that stuck out to me in what Scott Bessent said, but also when he talked about Iranian storage being full soon, that they'll have to start capping their wells. That will lead to permanent problems. That's an infrastructure issue. You can't just restart those wells. So I know there's a little bit of a debate on how close actually are they to filling that storage. But it seems like we're in a very good position, the United States. And I've been saying this since the president put the blockade in place, which is you're getting them from both angles. You've got your military assets there, so they know you're at the ready, and you're choking them economically. At a certain point, they will have to cry uncle. And whether we're talking about, a few weeks, if some of the estimates are right on the longer term with respect to the storage, in this game that we're playing, a few weeks really doesn't even matter, even if you're looking at the midterms, because oil prices will come down. I'm pretty confident in that, not only because the UAE is leaving OPEC, but also our oil exports, 6.4 million barrels per day. That's a record. We, again, are, that swing producer. We are out there changing the game to the point where the UAE says, I don't have to be in OPEC anymore because OPEC isn't even relevant. So all of this is positive news. And then you just look at the markets, Taylor. S&P, best month on track for since November of 2020. The NASDAQ is on pace for its best month in 6 years.
Look at you quoting the S&P 500.
But it's really remarkable.
Yeah.
Well, the Dow's up 728, but I didn't see any big record messages there. And I will just say, it depends what outlet you look at to get some analysis on the GDP number. But 2% for the first quarter actually really isn't terrible, but the headlines are all disappointing.
Talk
GDP
about that. Jackie, you're taking it out of my playbook. No, I love it.
Point.
Jerry, jump in on the consumer here, because we're looking at oil at 104, but let me quote some of the things that Jackie rightfully brought up on GDP. On an annualized rate, spending on equipment jumped 17%. 13% on intellectual property. Those two components alone added 150 basis points to the first quarter GDP print. So when you think about business investment, that is leading GDP, and it is shocking the numbers that you're seeing about U.S. domestic manufacturers really stepping up. Does that help offset some of the concerns around oil prices for consumers?
Well, I think it's great news. The thing I was really obsessing about this morning were those Caterpillar numbers that really led the Dow, like 250 points on the Dow. It's Caterpillar having an incredible quarter. It's all about picks and shovels for AI. This, of course, rebounds positively for consumers in the long run. I wanted to say something about the big macro picture on what's going on right now, because we're seeing OPEC sort of dissolve here, right? And these have been the people who've been setting prices for decades and keeping them high. The fact that OPEC is losing power is a good news for the American consumer. It's good news for America. We've also learned throughout this conflict that, Europe isn't what we thought it was, right? Yeah, we can 100%. Lead, we can lead the whole world, and we should, and it will be good for consumers.
Amen.
All right, Brian, you're our anchor leg here. How are you viewing all of these data points?
I want to agree with Francis on the genius of the blockade.
Yeah.
But I wish the president would do one thing that I haven't heard him do a lot of when he talks about the blockade. I wish he would say it's working, it's effective, we're choking them, and we are going to do everything we can, 100% full efforts right now, to let the good guys send their stuff through.
Yeah.
He doesn't, I haven't heard him say that. I haven't heard him say, along with the blockade, we want things to get through. I wish he would, because I think actually in the short term, that would be a help for markets, for oil markets. But it's also the right thing to do, because it feels like right now we're still a little bit on Iran's time frame. We're like waiting for you to say, uncle, waiting for you to give up. Your time is up. And what I would just say is, you know what? You can take all the time you need, because we are moving full steam ahead. You're not going to get a drop of oil out of the Hormuz, and we're going to do whatever we want. And we know you're not going to last, so you got to figure it out, because life goes on without you.
And I don't know if there's some technical challenges in that, in the ability, right, to say that exactly what you're saying. Certainly, it could be easier to block than sort of to allow them through.
Right, to partially open it to members that you
with the
pick
mines,
and
et
choose.
cetera. Yeah.
So I think the president is just being really, really careful about that. He doesn't want to
Sure.
make an announcement like
Overpromise,
that,
yeah.
that the strait is open for business except to Iran, because I think what will happen is, I mean, they're obviously still there. Their presence is there. So they'll probably break any ceasefire terms and bring up military options again if they see other people going through and they can't go through. And I think that's I mean, you want to be careful when you're the president about overpromising before.
I agree with you, although President Trump's not always. He tends to not be so careful. Like he aims big, and I would like to see him just aim
He does
big,
aim pretty big.
because he says their whole Navy's on the floor of the sea, right?
Yeah.
Like they have no Air Force, they have no Navy. Awesome.
They're
So the
clearing
next
mines,
thing
though.
we're going to do is we're going to start shuttling people. And by the way, he is working on. I know nobody likes this idea, and I agree that Europe's a waste of time. But he is saying.
Yes.
He is saying, I want all you guys to come to the Strait, and I want you to help us get ships through. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think the world who depends on Hormuz should be there
show up.
helping this happen.
Yes. Yes.
true.
Okay. One more point. Hey, you Democrats out there who are saying 3% plus inflation is a horrible thing. Go to Iran, 40 to 50% inflation.
I've seen higher than that even.
Country falling apart economically. And we are doing well here. The consumer is holding up. Those income numbers we got this morning were very positive indeed.
Quick point on inflation and the currency tanking the way it's tanked. When you have a situation, it was getting increasingly difficult before this war started for people to put food on the table. I mean, we're talking about very basic survival here, and that is typically what is at the root of most revolutions. And so if President Trump is also waiting for an opportunity for the people to come up, when you can't put food on the table and your life is at stake in that way, you have a little bit more. That desperation pushes you, even though you don't have weapons, to be able to go out in front of the army and to demonstrate. So I think there are a lot of different calculus at play here.
And we'll continue to watch it.